Were you as shocked as I was when you heard some of those numbers, some of that information about how much fraud is happening in Social Security, Senator?
So, Martha, not only do I not believe some of what was just shared there, but the Trump administration's acting administrator of Social Security has said that less than 0.1% of the payments put out by the Social Security Administration are fraudulent or in error. Let's be clear about some of the things that were just played. There are people whose names are on the rolls as having been born 150 or 200 years ago. They're not receiving Social Security payments. So the statement that there's all these people, Martha, I'm just repeating back to you what the Trump administration, acting Social Security administrator, has said about the percentage of fraud in Social Security.
So let me ask
Part of why I'm alarmed about Elon Musk and Doge, and they're getting into the systems and they're getting the access to the individual information of millions of Americans, is that Elon Musk has made it clear he thinks Social Security is a Ponzi scheme. A Ponzi scheme is itself fraudulent, fake, criminal, or illegal. I don't think Social Security is a Ponzi scheme.
Well, let me ask
I think
you something.
70 million Americans depend on it for their principal source of income.
But that's too bad, because
so
in 10 years...
let me ask you a question,
Senator. Let me ask you a question. You've made a lot of points. Let me ask you something.
Other agencies, I think is immoral.
So,
you see him filibustering? Okay, the reason he's filibustering is because he knows it is a Ponzi scheme. Now, in order to know that it is a Ponzi scheme, you just got to know what a Ponzi scheme is. And these are and I only know the very, kind of broad parameters for it. But it's when you have investors that come in and they buy into it. Whatever the investment is, let's say it's a office building, and they buy into it. And then you take their buying in and you give that money to the people who have already been buying in. And then you get other investors that come in and then they buy into it, and you take that money and then you pay all of the people that have already bought in from that money. And it goes on and on and on, and you're never, ever actually growing an asset. You're just taking new investments and giving that investment, that money to people who are already in. That's my understanding of what a Ponzi scheme is. So what's happening right now with the Social Security? Well, right now, it's not just sitting there waiting for you to retire. Right now, the people who are actually working are paying for the people that aren't. People right now are paying the people that were waiting for their Social Security. What does that sound like to you? Well, Stu, that sounds really, really close to being, well, a Ponzi scheme. It's like, dude, if Americans were to stop working, can you still pay people? That's the question that should have been asked, because you have this money socked away, right? And it's just sitting somewhere, just collecting interest, right? And that's how you set it up. So then everybody should be able to just stop cold and you can still make those payments. It's a farce. He knows it, by the way. He knows it. He's a liar.
You sound like you're pretty okay with all the agencies and how they function. So you say all those millions of people depend on Social Security, so you don't care about the ones that are going to never get it because it's going to be insolvent in 10 years. What have Democrats done? What did Joe Biden's administration do to find the waste, fraud, and abuse in Social Security to try to shore up this important agency? What did they do? Can you tell me?
Sure. So first, Martha, you are presuming widespread waste, fraud, and abuse in Social Security.
Notice, that's not what she asked. What did you Democrats do to shore up this?
You haven't offered any credible evidence to support that. I don't believe what Doge says about virtually any federal agency. But
about any federal agency. He doesn't believe it. So he thinks USAID is doing just fine. Millions of dollars sent overseas for Sesame Street and what was it, Iraq? No, that's what you got to do. That's not fraud. That's not waste. That's not abuse.
I will believe what the GAO says, or the Inspector General, or the Administrator of Social Security, because I've had senior folks from Doge lie to my face about other federal agencies where they claim they have found widespread waste, fraud, and abuse, where previous audits did not find that waste, fraud, and abuse. And this administration.
So he is telling you point blank, he believes his guys, not these guys. That's what he's telling you. He believes the government people and not Elon's people. That's the bottom line here.
Martha fired the Inspector General of USAID when he filed complaints about the waste of huge amounts of food aid left rotting on docks.
Let me ask you something.
Rather than dealing with that fraud, they fired him.
I'm amazed by, so you're saying that I'm assuming that there's waste, fraud, and abuse. And I think it's equally surprising that you are assuming that the government is functioning in an efficient way when we all know.
That's not what I said. That's not what I said.
Well, then what has
Martha, there are inspector generals in.
You see, he's getting frustrated.
Every single agency that are there to find waste, fraud, and abuse.
They've done a fantastic bang-up job. I mean, when you look at the number.
And to start the administration by firing all of them does not suggest a deep interest in listening to these career, nonpartisan inspectors general about waste.
No, you can't just put your fingers in your ear and go, blah, blah, blah. It's not happening. We all know
that's not at all what I'm doing, Martha.
Is not
Let me repeat the point.
Run. And these people.
Elon Musk says that Social Security is a Ponzi scheme, and this president has fired the relevant inspectors general, who are the people most capable, not a bunch of 20-year-old software engineers with no.
See, that's the thing. And you understand something. From Washington's point of view, the most capable are Washington, D.C. bureaucrats. These are the people that are most capable. You see, when you take a, private citizen, a private business owner, somebody who has been wildly successful in business. No. You can't use those people. Those people are a bunch of 22-year-olds from Silicon Valley. These people don't know anything. We got to use seasoned, corrupted officials from Washington. Those are the people I trust.
No previous government experience.
People, did you watch this interview, Senator? Did you watch the interview? Did you watch this?
Accountants.
I don't know if you've know, all he's doing is filibustering because he knows how bad fraud, waste, and abuse is. He knows.
Did you watch the interview?
Which interview? I don't know what you're talking about.
The one I just
You're
played
yelling
you from.
so much.
No, I can't, because I can't get a word in edgewise. I'm trying to ask you a question. That's my job. So
you go right ahead.
There was an excellent panel on Special Report. These are not 25-year-old, whatever people have been calling them. They're very seasoned executives who have made a lot of money and run good businesses efficiently, where they only use the number of people to get the job done that they needed. They gave up their livelihood and they left their families and they came to Washington to try to give their expertise to some of these agencies that are so sclerotic and wasteful that they are not able to function.
He just started filibustering. Now, maybe, because all I can think, maybe the producers turned off his earpiece. And so maybe he thought that she stopped talking because he's looking into a camera. He's not looking at her. He's looking into a camera, so he can't see that she's still talking. So maybe the producer, cut her feed off. And so he can't hear her anymore. But I don't think that's the case. I think he just started filibustering because he doesn't want to deal with the facts.
So, okay, it would be great if both sides of this, because when I remember there being an active interest by Democrats in saying, you know
Yes.
what, we know that that there's a lot of waste in our government. Now you're telling me there isn't.
That's not at all what I said. I said in Social Security, the current Trump administration acting Social Security administrator has said publicly less than 0.1% of the Social Security payments are being improvident, are not being sent to people who are entitled to them.
Let's assume that you are 100% right.
I agree with you that there is waste and fraud in different federal programs, and sign me up for working in a measured, bipartisan, thoughtful way about reducing. I mean, there are in.
See, this is what he wants to do. So, sign me up. I'm willing to do a measured, slow rollout. That's what they do in government, so that nothing ever gets done. Because they'll have a committee, to corral a committee. We have to have a committee meeting to, build a committee. And then once we build that committee is going to start looking into the committee that, made them a committee and make sure that they were on the up and up. And once we figured that out, it'll be 2028, right around the time of the election. Hey, look at what we found. That's how they do it in Washington. They don't want efficiency. And the reason should be obvious. They never have to pay for failure. If their policies fail, they never tell their constituents, or they lie to their constituents and tell them that it was a rousing success, even though they know it wasn't. How did defund the police go? How did that go? What about all those smash and grabs, not prosecuting people if they loot something under $950? How did that go? These are the Democrats that push that nonsense, that are now telling you Elon Musk is he's out of order. He knows that there is fraud, massive fraud, hundreds of billions of dollars, and he knows it. But he doesn't want to own up to it. And the reason he doesn't want to own up to it because he knows he's one of those. That's why he says, no, sign me up if we can do it, in a very, very snail's pace. And by the way, Elon didn't fire anyone. They keep saying it. He didn't fire anyone. He's an advisor. He says, this is what I would do right now. I gotta tell you, man, you just witnessed the reason nothing ever gets done in Washington.